In this video, you will learn how to use Jupyter Notebooks in Bwb. Widgets that run Jupyter Notebooks can be seen in the tool dock on the left under Jupyter, and there are currently 3 versions of the widget. The one on the left is the base widget with not much pre-installed, and the middle widget has Bioconductor installed to access bioinformatics packages for R. The one on the right has Sleuth installed. All of these widgets have Python and R as available kernels for the notebook. To get started, let's use the base Jupyter Notebook widget and click on it. Open the widget and you'll see some of the entries and options available. The required entries have the notebook subcommand as well as IP and port to use. We'll leave these as is for now. In the optional entries, you will see more configurations and parameters you can include to run Jupyter Notebooks. The one option here that I'll note is the notebook file entry at the top, which if you select this option, you can provide an existing Jupyter Notebook to open up directly. If you keep this deselected, the default is that the widget will open up the Jupyter Notebook file navigator that you may normally see when running Jupyter Notebook from scratch. To run the widget, you must select the Export Graphics checkmark on the bottom of the window. It is extremely important to do so, or else you cannot see the actual Jupyter Notebook that would appear in Firefox. Let's click Start and see what happens. Now you will see Firefox and Jupyter Notebooks pop up. In the Jupyter Notebooks file navigator, click on the data folder to open the working directory of Bwb. If you are running Gitpod, you can see the files and folders associated with the Gitpod here. At this point, you could select the Jupyter Notebook by opening it here. But since we don't have one available, let's create a new notebook. As you can see, you have the option of running a Python or R kernel, but let's choose Python for now. With the notebook open, you can create markdown cell blocks, run Python commands, and other things you would do in Jupyter. Much like in Jupyter Notebooks typically, there are ways you can install packages from Jupyter directly, with the one technique I will show next. This widget only has Python's default packages set up, so if you were to try and import something like NumPy, you would get an error message. That means you need to install the package inside the notebook. To do so, you would need to type the following: import sys, exclamation point, curly brackets, sys.executable, -m pip install numpy. Then, if you try to import numpy this time, it should work. Now that you've seen how Jupyter Notebooks function for Python, let's briefly look at an R kernel notebook. Go back to the navigator and create another notebook that uses the R kernel. Now in the cell blocks, you can type in R commands and get out the expected outputs you would get in R. Much like in Python, R packages need to be installed at the start if you need them in your analysis, though it is much easier to specify the command to install packages this time. Like for example, if you want to install ggplot, you can type install.packages, then in parentheses, ggplot2, quiet equals true. Using the quiet option hides the outputs when running the installation. We'll wait a bit until this package is installed. Now you can see ggplot is finished installing. So this shows that you can make Python and R notebooks for your analysis in the widget. Finally, to shut down Jupyter Notebooks, go back to the file navigator, click File at the top, then click Shut Down. When you shut it down, you can see the Firefox browser closes and the Jupyter Notebook widget stops executing. So that covers how to work with one of the default Jupyter Notebook widgets that come with Bwb. But because these widgets are running in Docker containers that are wiped after execution, packages and dependencies installed the first time you run the workflow will need to be installed again the next time you run it. This can be prevented if you have packages and dependencies installed from the Docker image directly by changing the Docker file for the Jupyter Notebook widget. Let's use the bioconductor version of the Jupyter Notebook widget. We'll be using this version as this widget has a cleaner default Docker file than the base widget. Edit the widget and click on the Docker tab. Launch the image builder and open the widget's Docker file. This is what is used to build the widget's Docker image. At the bottom, you can add the Python and/or R packages you want to be built into the Docker image. As an example for R, the command to install packages is the following. Run r-e, then in quotes, install.packages, then in parentheses, c, and then another parentheses, ggplot2, JSONLite, and string r. And finally, make sure you have the repository section listed after the packages you want to install. And then for Python, the command to install packages from pip is the following. Run pip install numpy pandas matplotlib. Once you have the packages you want in the Docker file, save the Docker file. To build the image, you can set this version of Jupyter Notebooks to something different. So at the top, set the image name to something like Jupyter Custom. Then for the tag, something like 1.0. Next, click Build. On the top right corner, you see the progress of the Docker image being built from the Docker file. But I have already built the Docker image to save some time, so pause the video until your image is finished. Once finished, go back to the widget definition window, click on the General tab, then change the Docker image and tag to the one you just created. Save the widget and rerun the widget. Let's try to load one of the packages you installed to the image in the notebook. Let's try R first. So for the R kernel, let's load library JSONLite. And it is now loaded without any installation needed from inside the workflow. Let's quickly do the same for a Python kernel notebook. Let's try import pandas and see it is pre-installed and now loaded. So that concludes this video on Jupyter Notebooks in BWB. Thanks for watching.